Hi guys, I think I'm alive. Live or alive? Let's see how many people are watching. Zero. That's good. So, what I'm going to talk about. Okay, start my Emacs blog, start my programming blog. Now, there's something where I wait for people to come in. Basically, if you have a question, just ask me. And what I want to say is okay, so I have been doing videos in the past few months actually. And when you look at yourself, you realize something. That's an interesting thing to do actually. You can record yourself actually. If you never streamed before, actually you can try it, or do a video and you watch yourself, then you learn something about yourself actually. For example, one thing I learned is that in my life I'm pretty much a pretty face and like kind of elite person. Like I'm above average in intelligence, and I like to I wanted to be the greatest mathematician, but not just that. When I was younger, I also wanted to be the greatest pianist, the greatest juggler, and yeah, and also a millionaire, or like today, millionaire is like a dime a dozen, because money, inflation, money increases, and also the opportunity increases has increased a lot. But anyway, so when I was younger, I was very ambitious, and I'm also a pretty face, so and one thing I thought, I came to Canada. Actually, I left. I was born in Taiwan, and I left Taiwan. I went to South America, and lived there for a year. I left Taiwan when I was 14, so I lived in South America for a year and Central America for like half a year, and then Canada for 3 years. Then in 1989, I I came to California, basically in Bay Area, San Francisco, Bay Area, and since then I've been living here. And hi guys, so I saw some questions. I'll get to that. Um, so I came to USA. And I want, and I learned English. Basically by myself. I never actually finished high school. In Taiwan you have middle school, and I did not graduate middle school. What I get is a certificate for having done middle school because my grade is below F. So I was not a studio person uh, at all. But things changed. But anyway, so I never went to high school, but I learned English, I learned programming, just on my own. And things change, your life change, situation change, and you might change into something else. So I learned English, and but basically my point, get back to my point. What I was saying is that, I think I was very capable man, and I'm not just capable man, but I'm multi-talented. Like I am, like the Prince musician, Prince, who died a few years ago. He was, one of the multi-talented, with respect to music. He plays drums, he plays guitar, he plays piano, he composes, he write lyrics. Like he does everything by himself. The whole album is made by himself, and you know and and so that's one of the few talented people. And not just, I mean, there are others. There are also, for example, if you look at historical figures, there are people who are not just mathematicians, but also they are you know, they are expert, they are scholars in history, in literature, in poetry, or or sports like fencing, and there's many people like that. So I thought I'm kind of, not, I at least I thought I was. But anyway, let me get back to the point. So what I was saying, in terms of speaking English, communication skills, or charisma, like talking to a lot of people. And I always thought that I was like very good at, because I'm very good at everything, anything. But actually, that turns out that's false. That's actually I'm actually below average in terms of at least speaking English to people, to an audience, for example. The way I learned. I mean, I did never it never occurred to me until I was watching my own videos. In the past few months, I just in some sense I know, but my point is that I have never thought that I was actually, in terms of communicating skills, I'm actually below average as compared to an average American. Sure. Yes, exactly. I was just going to say imposter syndrome. Today Wikipedia and information are so rich. You there's like psychology things and other things you learn about on social media and all that. So there's the imposter syndrome. Uh, oh wait, hold on. I'm confusing two things. Imposter syndrome is such that well, correct me if I'm wrong. It is that you are capable at something, but you think you are not. That's imposter syndrome. But the other thing I was going to mention is that there's another psychological phrase. I forgot what's the name, but that's kind of like the opposite. Like people think they are good at something, but actually they are not. Right. Okay. So actually, it turns out, I mean, I find myself when I look at my own videos, I don't speak well. I don't communicate well. I mean, I know I'm like introvert already, and especially when people are around in social situations, I feel like I will always feel there's a pressure, like people are watching me, and when that happens, which happens often in social situations, I don't do well. I do not talk well. I do not talk clearly. I stutter, and all the terms I forgot. Like it's like half of my brain is not working. Um, but I already know that. But I mean, so let me just be simple. So what I'm saying is that since I watch my own video, I don't actually communicate well. So I mean, aside from being uh, feeling nervous, so I want to improve that. So I mean, you can do that too. If you watch your own videos, I mean, every person is different. It may not apply to you. I mean, like on the internet, like I have no idea who you are, and you probably have no idea like what I'm like until you watch me, doing videos. So, but all walks of life, they are, business people and artists kind of people and programmers, and they live in different countries, and yeah, I mean, I mean, you cannot even begin to describe the diversity. So I don't know what's your situation, but I think for many people, you can, if you record yourself, then you can learn something from it. So anyway, and also, okay, so the other thing is that since I'm doing video, I learned a few things. So for one thing, I I will try to learn to, for example, communicate well. Don't just like stop stuttering. Like first of all, be calm. I can when I'm calm, I talk well relatively, and then stop saying like I watch myself. I say, something, it's like that, like all the time, like every other sentence. And also I don't, when I'm trying to say something quickly, I don't articulate well. So, and that is important actually, because a lot of people watching videos, they do not necessarily have the video on. They listen when they drive to work, and so forth. There it is again. I'm like, So I will try to stop that. That's an interesting thing. Like you can, okay, stop that. You can explore, the speech patterns. Like each person, you have a habit actually, just like writing. You have a habit when you do certain things. So, people can analyze your speech patterns and know that, it is you. For example, Trump, he's got speech patterns. Obama, he's got particular way of speaking, and also he's got particular way of mannerism. So anyway, let's look at the questions, and let's see what I'm gonna talk about, because usually I have a lot of opinions about everything, and I feel like I can talk about it. And especially today, technology changed so much in the past 20 years. And okay, stop that. So before, you write blogs, that's a primary means of communication, at least between most programmers. But now there is video, and it just exploded. Everyone is like watching video. The other thing I want to mention, it just occurred to me. When I talk, I tend to have like every moment I have like a million thoughts, like 1,000, 10 more thoughts happening at the same time. And before I finish a sentence, I speak the other thought. Actually, quite a lot nerds are like that. Some famous programmers, for example, the JavaScript, the guy who invented JavaScript, Brendan or Brenda something, he's on YouTube. He's not a good communicator. He does not talk well. Like if you watch him, there's some videos, of course, there are a lot of videos of him talking. You watch him, he's kind of like me in some way, okay? uh, so he stutters, and before he finishes a thought, he talk about something else, and usually the end result is that you don't get clearly what he's saying. Like you get confused. He touched on a lot of things, but on the other hand, there are other people. For example, Camille Paglia. He's a well-known so-called feminist. Okay, he not like today's, but anyway, Camille Paglia. He's considered by some people one of the most um, one of the greatest intellectual. But anyway, when she talks, oh my God, she's like machine gun non-stop. And before she has 1 million thoughts happening at the same time, and she tries to say all of them at the same time. However, she does make the point across. She's so knowledgeable about history. I mean, history and culture across the countries, continents, and yeah, she's just amazing. On the other hand, there's Jordan Peterson. If you watch him, okay, I always wanted to be like that, the Jordan Peterson way of speaking. Like you are able to communicate a very complex ideas precisely using uh, the right words, the diction. Just the right. There's only one word for each situation. He always use that. So, Jordan Peterson. So he has become. I have watched a lot of videos of him in the past 2 years, and he has become one of the top three, let's say, I admire. So basically, one of the top, the top, let's say top few person English speakers I admire. So Jordan Peterson is one of them. Camille Paglia is the other one, and I also admired Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell is a black guy, and he's an economist. He has written a lot of books, but however, he's very old now. He's like 70 something, long retired. And but if you watch videos of him today, he's kind of old. When you get old, for a lot of people like above 70, you cannot talk well, and you are slow. You are slow to respond, and usually it doesn't come out coherent. But there are a lot of videos of him when he was younger, 10 or 20 years ago. But anyway, so Jordan Peterson, Camille Paglia, Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell I knew because I was trying to understand economics. So I read a book called Basic Economics. This is around 2000, year 2000, 2001. I read that book like three times over the past 20 years, three times from cover to cover. And I didn't know he's a black guy, until I read that book. And that really opened my eyes, especially with regards to open source. Um, he doesn't, I mean, the book, it doesn't talk about open source stuff, but he just talk about basic economics. So that book opened my eyes. So I recommend that book. You should, especially if you are a programmer and you are probably into open source philosophy or free software philosophy. You should check out that book, Basic Economics. And also, I have an article about that book. You can just search Xah Basic Economics. So okay, so I was saying, the few English speakers I admire. So besides those three, there's also my classic is Bertrand Russell. Of course, he's dead a while, like 50 or 100 years ago. Bertrand Russell, maybe 50 years ago. But anyway, he's a mathematician, logician. He's also a Nobel laureate, Nobel laureate, quote unquote, meaning that he won a Nobel Prize. Um, but for literature, which is kind of silly. But anyway, he's a mathematician, he's a logician, and I share, my mindset, my philosophy, my view of the world. Pretty much, I think he's the closest I share. He view the way he look at the world. Okay, so I've been rambling about different things. Let's get back to the questions. So functional programming gotchas. Um, let's see. Well, functional program. Okay, let's go over the questions. There's a few. Let's see what I want to say. Looking for input on Emacs package managers. Looking at straight.el. I never heard of straight.el, but I don't use packages that much, and the way I use packages is very basic. I just call. Okay, let me start. Yeah, let's do some Emacs because most of you guys are following me because of my Emacs stuff. So let's do some Emacs. So first of all, I'm going to turn on the keylog mod, keylog alpha, command log mod. That's a good mod. This mod will show your key and commands as you type them. So run eval. So you see, so all my commands will show. So anyway, let's put this window here. Okay, and so whatever I'm doing in Emacs, and if you are wondering what is the command he just called, just look at this window on the left. It'll show, and it will also show the key binding I'm using to invoke it. By the way, I'm using a Vorak keyboard, so you may find the letters strange. And also, I'm using Xah keys. Xah keys is a modal mod I created. So of course, I recommend I recommend it, because I wrote it. So you might try it. So it's a and you also notice almost never you will never see a control or meta in here, because that is the purpose of softlight keys. So anyway, so as far as packages, first of all, I don't use that much. Let's go to Elpa. Okay, so you can see that you know that's it. But of all these, actually, I don't. They are just there because I installed in the past, but I don't actually use them. So the ones I use are. Let me show you. What is this? I don't even know what is this. Camel. Uh, Project Crystal. Oh, that's Ocamo mod. Okay, so that's Ocamo mod. Command log mod I use. Company I don't actually use. Dash I don't use. I don't like Dash at all. Dash is one of the package. It's a Lisp library that the goal of Dash is supposed to be so it provide convenient interface to Emacs Lisp functions, like list processing functions. It's basically just a wrapper. It's one of those things. It's like JavaScript library that it's created so that if you don't know much Lisp, you will find it convenient. But if you actually know Emacs Lisp, you don't want it's best to not use it, because it's just a wrapper for people who don't know. um, it's supposed it call itself the modern Emacs Lisp library for Lisp processing, something like that. It's kind of a marketing thing, so I don't like it. Dome line I don't use. I tried it, so let's delete it. And also, many of the libraries today, when you install one, it installs 10,000 other ones. It's really criminal. It's very annoying. So I don't like that at all. You write a package, you know, um, try try not to use other libraries. Well, I mean, that's not necessarily a good advice, but basically my opinion is that you want to learn Emacs Lisp well. I don't mean you have to master everything in one day, but try to understand. If you program in language X, try to master language X as you go. At least have the mentality of doing that. And then so you write good code and don't load a bunch of libraries. Like today in JavaScript land, each library is just like 10 lines is one library. So if you want to use something in JavaScript, you download one library. That library loads 100 other libraries, and some of them is just 5 lines, like trim string or something. It has become extremely idiotic. So um, okay, so that's another topic. So anyway, so Dash is one of the libraries that's kind of like that. Part of the reason Dash is so popular, it's one of the most popular library in the Alpha. Part of the reason it's so popular is not just because it's marketing, although that's part of the reason. It calls itself the modern library of for Emacs. But the other reason is that the Emacs Lisp documentation and the Emacs Lisp itself, it really sucks. There's a lot of problems with the Emacs, Free Software Foundation organization. Like, there's not, just political problems. There's leadership problems. There's, you cannot contribute code. There's a lot of problems. So Emacs Lisp, the language is kind of stagnated. It doesn't grow, and you cannot easily contribute, code to Emacs. There's a lot obstacles, political or organizational or people, you just cannot do it. So the only way is, basically the most practical way to contribute is just create your package and put it on Alpa. That's why. So that's part of the reason Dash becomes hugely popular, because Emacs sucks. People cannot find how to do things in the dock. Things like that. So this guy just created it, so people use it. So that's so it's a problem of the free software, and in general it's a problem of open source and free software. So let's go to LPAT. So click. So you see on LPAT, you see, let's sort it by download, number of download. Okay, reverse. So you see, Dash is a number one. It's a number one library, a modern Lisp library for Emacs. The name is offensive. What do you mean modern? So it's like, so it's like contradictory to Emacs fans. People say, in Emacs community, we all love Emacs, right? You hear that all the time. Oh, Emacs is God sent. Emacs does everything. Emacs Lisp is the best language. But then, okay, you look at this, melpa. Then there is the number one package, a modern Lisp library for Emacs. Does that, does that look contradictory to you? I mean, if Emacs is so great, why do you need what do you mean modern? So you know, so if Dash is so great, it's a modern Lisp library for Emacs, then does that tell you, something is wrong with Emacs Lisp? Why do you need a modern Lisp library? So there's a lot of problems, in Emacs community. So, okay, so what are the things you can do? Actually, I don't, I couldn't say there's not much things you can do. But anyway, let me go back to the questions. So okay, so I don't use much libraries, so I haven't used straight.el. So the only way I use libraries like these. So let me show you. Um, so I just, if I need some package, I just call list packages, and I just search for it. Let's say SMEX. Now these are the packages I have installed. Um, so once I found a package, for example this one, I just return and tab to install. Usually it's installed because I already installed it, so it says delete. So and then I install it, then that's it. That's how I install packages. Now there's another one that's very popular. It's called use package. Let's see, use package. Why is not there? Why is use package not there? Oh, is it building? Okay, let's go. Wait, I thought it's not in yet. Let's see. No, it's not there. So I that's interesting. So, but anyway, use package is one of the package manager kind of. It helps you set up. It helps you install and set up packages. So a lot of people like to use that, and it's written by a Emacs Lisp expert, Steve Purcell. Is it by Steve Purcell or is it by the other guy? Uh, no, I think it's the other guy. I think, but anyway, he's the current Emacs maintainer. You can look it up. Sorry, I forgot his name. But why is it not in these packages? I don't have it installed because I don't use it. Okay. Now it shows. I noticed something sometimes in Alpha. There it is. Finally, you have to wait. This is a package. This one. This one, use package. So a lot of people use that. I don't use it. So let's go back. Okay. Functional programming gotchas. Well, that depends on what you mean. My idea, the way I program, I like functional programming, and I don't like OOP at all. All the programming I do is functional programming, and um, and basically my only concern is that in general I just write functions that without side effect. Aside from that, I don't actually care much for some of the fancy features of functional programming, such as provided by Haskell, um, monad and other stuff, and currying. Um, I don't use them much, but I think they are good. I just happens to not use them much. I mean, especially okay in industrial programming, in practical industrial programming, you don't usually you don't use them because they are not practical unless you are using a language like Haskell. Okay, so if you are programming Haskell, then those are good. But if you are programming other languages that supports functional programming, such as JavaScript, Golang, or even Emacs Lisp, things like monad and currying, they are not actually that practical, or tail recursion. So my CD to either change to one. Package managers. So this is my tutorial for packages. Yeah, that's all I use. So I don't use any package managers. But if you like them, go ahead, use them. Use package is very popular, and I can trust the code is good. Um, okay, why has so I'm reading out. I I'm reading you guys' comments. Oh yeah, so doing stream with interesting guests. I really like to. I like to. There are some people in Emacs I like to invite. Who do you like to invite? Type it here. Type it here. Let me know. So, but the the issue with me is that I haven't done that yet because first of all, let me log into Twitter so that I can see the interesting people, in recent memory. I go Emacs. So I've been coding. I've been living in Emacs for like 20 years since 1999 or 1998. So and I use online features a lot. I mean, I talk to people a lot. I mean, online. So I almost know all the at least all the people, all the uh, well-known people in Emacs, and also in Emacs developers. And I also, because I argue a lot, I'm not afraid to show my opinions. And also I criticize a lot. So a lot of people consider me a troll. Like when I criticize Emacs this or I criticize Richard Stallman, people don't like it. They don't like it not necessarily because I'm wrong. They don't like it just because, usually when you are in a community X, you don't, say any negative things in community X. All they want to hear is positive, good things, like in a, it's like community building. But I'm not really into that. I like to say whatever I think is true. So even though I'm not always correct, of course. But anyway, so I do have some issues with some people have issues with me, with my opinions. And besides, I'm a nerd. I'm not much of a social person, so that that also plays into it. But anyway, so there are many interesting Emacs people, and especially there are some interesting people I met last year, like Emacs people, notifications, home, and um, yeah. So what I'm saying is that following, let's say following. So I like to, you know, I would love to talk to them and invite them to, video chat, but I'm not readily into doing that because usually I have to wait and to for them to contact me, or because if I just talk to them, I'm afraid they don't want it. They don't like me. you know so it's a tension, especially today because of the political situation, the let's just say social justice, situation. USA is very divided, and most programmers are, especially the white programmers in Silicon Valley area, so they have, there are certain things you cannot say. This is new. This happened only in the recent 5 years. Before it's totally opposite. So sometimes, so like before, we nerds, we can talk about things, and usually nerds are actually abrasive. Not just me, especially in Emacs community. A lot of people, they criticize you or they criticize that. It happens, each other way. But today, there's also, it's certain things you don't say. I mean, anyway. So I'm getting derailed. But okay, anyway, let me show you some people. So Steve Purcell, he's a very interesting guy, and I think he's a very good person. He is currently the Emacs maintainer. He's a leader, of Emacs development right now. And so use package is written by him. Um, so I could contact him, but you know I I just I could if he wants to, but it gives me a lot of pressure because if I invite him to my my video, Xah talk show. I'm kind of running my stuff in semi jest, like Xah talk show, and he's like well known, and if I invite him, all people is gonna watch it. Then it's like I have pressure doing that, but I would love to do that. Uh, you know, First of all, I have to be myself in order to, so that's why in order to do that, that's why I'm doing videos. I have been doing a lot of videos recently, and part of the reason is that so I can get myself used to it. I can get better and talking to people. So Steve Purcell is great, and uh, I'm not sure how do you pronounce this guy's name. Wilfred Huge. He's also very well known, and I don't know him as a person, but he's a great coder. He started the Emax Rust Emax project that is trying to implement Emacs in the Rust language, and it's getting fairly popular, and that's a great thing too because I don't like the Rust language, but anyway, it's Rust language is like uh, C level language, but better, because it's new and modern, and with modern understanding of compilers and technology. So he's leading the effort to translate all the C code in Emacs into Rust, and that project, you can look at his website, Rust Emacs, and I hope it succeeds because it gives us an option, alternative path for the future of Emacs. I'm just, I'm not going to name everyone because some of them I don't know well. So if your name happened to be here, and I skipped, don't feel bad about it. So Jeff Troll, Jeff Troll is a guy. He does Emax Meetup. He's the organizer. He initiates the Emax Meetup in San Francisco area. So I have attended several times in the past year. So it was great. You get to meet people and talk to people. And Howard Abrams, apparently he's also he's a well-known, popular, and very very well-rounded, old Emacs blogger and Emacs coder. By old I mean been there for a while, like me. So he's a great guy to talk to, and he's also expert of Emacs Lisp, uh, Emacs Lisp, and this guy, MX Tips. His name is Og, like AG. He's a closure expert. Of course, he's also very into Emacs, but yeah, but he is also a code closure. Oh, Steve Yags is a very interesting guy. I'm sure you probably know. Actually, time passes, but if 10 years ago everyone knows Steve Yags, but today there's a new generation, so I don't know, maybe you don't know him, but he's when blogging is popular, Google killed blogging basically. When blogging was popular, he's one of the most famous blogger. He used to work for Amazon and Google, but he quit Google last year. A lot things has been changed in society. A lot of things changed. But anyway, he is one of the greatest. He's one of the greatest programmer. He's a master of Java and JavaScript and Emacs Lisp, uh, and other things. So he's expert of doing low level programming like system programming as well as high level programming and also writing games. But anyway, so that's Steve's Yeg. So I mean, so there are a lot of people. I'm not going to. It's like this is not introduction to Emacs people because there's a lot. I'm just mentioning a few very famous ones. So Mike Peterson is also very famous. Uh, he's known for writing the book Mastering Emacs. Okay, actually I don't think he likes me. I don't know for sure. Because and also I don't want to get. I'm not sure I want to get into some of the rather details. Anyway, so he's the guy who wrote Mastering Emacs, and also he has been interviewed by Sasha. Sasha, you probably know. Sasha is one of the most famous Emacs blogger in the past like over ten years. Sasha, and she did an interview of Mike Peterson about maybe 8 years ago. You can watch. John Kitchen is also very great guy. I met actually he came to visit me, so I'm very happy for that. He's a chemistry professor, and he's also very much into Emacs. So and he has written the package called scientific. I'm sorry, yeah, some hiccups. So he wrote the like Emacs distribution called Emacs or something. But anyway, it's mostly for academics to use Emacs to publish their research. So that's a big package. Lots of code, does lots of things. So I mean, if you are doing publishing, if you are a professor, kind of in academia, um, you know, it's worth checking out. Okay, this author Malababa, he doesn't blog much today, but he's also a author of many packages, and also he's a Emacs blogger. Uh, Tassilo Hong, this guy I know like at least 20 years ago, at least for 20 years. He apparently he lives in Japan. He's a white guy. He's the author of PDF View in Emacs, a package in Emacs that views PDF. Uh, so anyway, there's a lot of people, and some of them, of course, many of the popular Emacs people are not on Twitter, and also a lot of them I don't follow. I'm not following. Bastian uh, Gary or Guerry, he's a French guy. He is the leader of Orgmod for over 10 years. He still is. Uh, so anyway, Sasha is probably the most well known. Go visit her blog. And oh, John Wigley. No, no, okay. I made a mistake before. John Wigley. He is the current Emacs leader, not Steve Purcell. Yeah, Steve Purcell is the maintainer, the leader of melpa. Now, John Wigley is um, the current leader of Emacs and also the author of use package. So anyway, there are a lot of people. I'm not going to, begin to uh, list them all. Then I feel pressure to like, oh, did I miss someone? Because there's too many, I cannot do that. And Jonah Bernoulli is also an interesting guy. He's the author of Magic Mod, hugely popular. Um, so okay, let's stop that. Andrew Haight. Anyway, it's Emacs Rocks. He is the author of Dash, and he's also of course, he's the creator of the extremely popular YouTube series Emacs Rocks. So what else? I recommend to watch videos on X2. Oh, like two times the speed. Yeah, especially when you watch someone who is not prepared, or who is not, very familiar with who doesn't do edit, so like my, so you can speed up. So the other thing about interesting about video is that once you do video, okay, especially professionals, you want to edit the video, like, cut out the boring parts, or insert some interesting image. Like when I say something, you know, like especially today, people insert some funny images like oh lol and stuff. Actually I don't like that, and also I don't like edited or prepared video, and also I don't like to read off from a script. Especially like politicians today, when you give a speech, they first of all they have a prepared written script. They just read it off. So like there's many microphones, and they read, dear fellow Americans, we are here today. you know that's no good. It's prepared, it's fake. In many ways it's fake, and it does not reflect your your emotional. It's I would not say I mean, it's not really. Fake is the wrong word, but anyway, I like to speak directly, and I like to be able to hone the skill of speaking without a written script. So for example, if I know Emacs Lisp, if I'm going to teach you Emacs Lisp, or if you are going to teach some other people of something well, then you know it. You can teach it without having to actually, you know, read off, be prepared. I think that's a better way. And in one way, because partly you solidify what your knowledge, and you get better at the skill of fishing them out. Teach people dynamically. um, and also for the audience, it's better for you, because audience can see your ability to do something, to teach you something about a particular subject, instead of reading from a manuscript, or a scripted prepared. Of course, on the other hand, those who like to read from a script, they say, of course, when you have a notes, it does remind you what you like to cover, something important. That's also fine. So I think I've been talking for 50 minutes. That's usually the time. So let me read off some more questions. I think listening to Jordan Peterson really helps me learn communicate better. Yeah, if you watch JP and Sam Harris. Yeah, I have watched that. That's interesting. In that one, in that one, Sam Harris is interesting guy. He's of course, both of them are very sharp and very knowledgeable. But however, let me point out, Sam Harris is kind of a selfish guy, a little bit, okay, and he's also highly competitive, like me. Okay, I share that aspect, because you can see that, because whenever, like when for example, if I'm talking to someone, or even my friend, and they mention something, and if I heard of that, or if I have opinion about that something, I'm in a hurry to say, oh, I already know that. Oh, yeah, by the way, you can see that, that came from competitiveness. It's not necessarily bad, but usually it's somewhat negative in sometimes. But anyway, so Sam Harris is very competitive. He it came from the reason he is that way. I think it came from internally. Maybe when he grew up, he does not get. It's psychological from my observation, and also Sam Harris. Okay, so he has that trait, being competitive, and it shows. and sometimes it shows in not a good way, because you can see he's, not making a great discussion. Anyway, so the other thing I noticed about Sam Harris is that he's kind of selfish. He wrote religion, anti-religion books, and he always like promote himself. He's there to promote. He's everywhere. So, but his primary purpose is to promote himself. To promote his ideas, even though he's usually fair, but behind it, he's always there. Just to promote himself. He was always like that. Now, Jordan Peterson, I greatly admire. But in that video, when Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris talks about God, you can see that Peterson, he got stuck. It's like he got stuck. Jordan Peterson is the guy who tries to articulate so precisely very complex ideas. He tried to use, just the right word. I cannot do that. Even though I thought, that's what I want to do, but in writing I can do some of that, but definitely not in real time in speech. I'm actually pretty bad. I noticed I'm pretty bad. I cannot find the right word. But okay, Jordan Peterson, he used very precise in words and articulated and structure it so well. But in that video, you can see he's stuck due to that. He tried to, sometimes when you listen to Jordan Peterson, when he tries to say some complex ideas, the way he, with his way of elaborate words, sometimes you can see that it's no good. It stops to break down. And that video is a particular good example. He breaks down, like he's stuck. Um, but anyway, and that's like two videos I remember, and it's like 2 hours something. So have you watched JP? Okay, so some reading for you from a great speaker and communicator, Sitamac. Okay, I'll read that. I'll read that offline. Yeah, 4 hours each. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's it for today. Okay, last, is there any questions? Okay, Maple. I assume if I know, hey, the other day I want to know what is Maple. Hi, Jack. So Maple is a software. It's like it's software for symbolic computation. So it's like Mathematica. It's the competitor of Mathematica, if that's what you mean. Maple is a word. It's a tree. It's a Canadian's national tree. Leaf. We have maple syrup, but also there's a software from Canada, I think from Toronto. It's just called Maple. It's a symbolic computation software. It's a competitor to Mathematica. So any other questions? Ask. So I wait for 10 more seconds. And then if no questions, then that's it for today. And thank you guys for coming. Okay, thank you guys for coming. Until next time. You can subscribe. I hate it. Okay, let me say this. Every video today, you see people talking and they say, please subscribe and please thumb up. Or there's many styles of doing that. But almost every video, please subscribe, please thumbs up. Uh, and that's no good. That's really painful, because because it's good if you do it naturally, like nobody tells you to do it, but because hey guys, I'm doing a good show. If you like it, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. So thank you. um that's natural, but however today it is not, because first of all, they do that, they want to do that because it's like a commercialized systematic enterprise. It's cockwheels, you know and why do they do that? Because of course, self-interest. You watch my video, hey guys, subscribe, okay, so I get, eventually I get money, please donate. And but also because why people do that, why is that every video say that? Of course, if I want to subscribe, I know how to subscribe, I can see it. I don't need you to tell me to subscribe. But it's so happy, people do that because, also because YouTube, of course, YouTube tells you to. Because if you do videos, or if you write blogs, in social media, or so-called SEO, um, search engine optimization, that's a euphemism. You know that you will know, because YouTube, of course, YouTube want everyone to use YouTube. So he we you if a lot of people subscribe, it grows the YouTube business, which in turn means more money for Google. So YouTube will tell you, like on my page somewhere, YouTube will tell, it will have a lot help, information, how to increase your audience, how to make more money, where to put your ads. That's so it's a whole commercialized system. And it's just no good, because it's no good, because it shapes the entire every video, the entire society into certain form. So that's what it is. But anyway, the question about web dev, let's talk about that next time. So because this video is already 1 hour. So Haskell, yeah, let's talk about that another day. So I don't know when I'll do next, because I don't have like a fixed schedule. uh, Maybe I'll try to do that, because every time if I have a fixed time, a plan, uh, sometimes I don't do well, because I feel a pressure to do it well. Because so anyway, so thank you guys for watching. That's it for today. Bye.